Entrepreneurship is as versatile as it is full of massive opportunities, especially when you are creative. On Women in Business today, we delve into endless possibilities that could arise from creative entrepreneurship.
So my name is KAMAU. I'm a mother of two, and I'm the founder and creative director of UMBA Creations, where I'm building a socially conscious children's brand called Rafiki Values Tribe, where we create toys and children's products. And our reason or our why for being really is to build into the foundational years in children. We want to create content and products that are wholesome, products that parents can trust, which children love, as well as which children can learn from.
Speaking of kids and content, what is it that inspires a new angle that you're trying to bring into the creative space, especially for the African child?
Children are usually influenced by the things around them. They're like sponges. Whatever you expose children to, they absorb. And so there's a real need for us to be intentional around what it is that we are exposing our children to. And especially in today's world, we can see there's a lot of influence from social media, from TV. And as parents, you want to expose your children to things that are wholesome. Is the item that they're exposed to reflective of your values? Is it building into their lives? And I think more so now, when we look at the landscape today, at whatever is being put out there, you realize that if you're not intentional now, then we'll have regrets later. And one of the things that my dad likes to always tell us is that the current generation is responsible for the next generation. So I think it's just about taking ownership and saying, look, these are our children. The things that we are putting into them, the things that we're exposing into them needs to be defined by us, by our values, by our way of life, especially here in Kenya and even as a continent in Africa.
Right. How would you rate the productivity of Kenya's creative content, especially on the global platform?
For a long time, we've consumed a lot of content from the West, whether it's from books or TV shows. And I think the onus is on us to ensure that we are preserving our culture and our heritage and looking at how we can tell stories using what we already have. There's a lot of diversity here in Africa and even here in Kenya. And it's about time we then started utilizing that and sharing stories that are told from our own perspective, from our experiences, from things that were passed down to us from our forefathers. And I think that's what's very key, that there's an opportunity for us to embrace who we are as a people and to tell that and break that down to children at their own level.
With UMBA Creations, you're able to explore Kenyan and African diversity at large. How can any entrepreneur out there install creativity into their entrepreneurship journey?
I think as a people, we're extremely creative, and we can see that from just our influencers, the comedians, or even the memes that are shared across different platforms. When something happens in Kenya, a meme is usually created within seconds, and there's a lot of humor, but we need to be cognizant of the fact that the stuff that we create usually has an influence on those that are following, those that are watching. And so as a creative, I think we've been tasked with putting out our creativity in a positive light. So we need to be creatively responsible, because we know that a lot of people are watching. I'll speak to my kids and I'll ask them, or even just children, where did you see that? They say, I saw that on TikTok, I saw that on YouTube. And so we can see the amount of influence that social media and the internet has on our children and even on celebrities. So if you're a creative, you've been given that gift or that skill to serve, and you need to use it responsibly.
Your versatility has a wider scope, and now you're moving from crochet dolls and you're introducing new products and even content into the business. Why is it important for any entrepreneur to be innovative in the flooded industry that the creative space is?
When you go into business, you're going in there to solve a problem. And so you need to be extremely clear on what your why is. And then there's usually the why, the how, and the what. So the why is why you've gone in. It's basically your purpose. The how is how you get into the what. And so for us, we started off with the dolls, which was part of our what. But now that has, over time, that has transformed into playing cards, it has transformed into different merchandise, into a storybook, into content, but the main message remains the same. It's how we are putting it out there that has changed, that is changing and evolving. And as an entrepreneur, it's extremely important for you to keep changing and evolving in terms of how can you better deliver the message of your why.
Let's talk about the marketplace. Which are the best platforms to sell and market your products?
You need to start with what you have and where you're at. At least today we have Facebook, we've got Instagram. These are free platforms. You're able to easily even create like a one-page website, and there are a lot of e-commerce platforms that one can share their products with. But I would say test, don't try and be in all places at the same time. When I started with Facebook, then slowly went into Instagram and created an e-commerce website. And now we are stocking at a local store called African Lifestyle Hub. They have branches at Sarit Center and Village Market. We also stock at Shamba Cafe in Loresho. And we also have a couple of international clients. So I would say it's progressive. So start with what you have and where you are. And when you prove yourself, then move to the next level.
You are in the corporate world before fully deciding to start and focus on UMBA Creations. How can one make that bold step to leave employment and, make a bold move into entrepreneurship?
I've always been a creative, and even when I was in the corporate space, I had my side hustle, a creative side hustle, and my creative side was always calling. It was always whispering my name, Wangari, come, come, come. And so when I look back, if the transition hadn't happened, I don't think I would have been extremely bold to go into entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is hard. You need a source of income to support whatever it is that you're working on. Things don't work out within the timelines that you've envisioned. So I would say for anyone who's in employment and looking to go into entrepreneurship, take it in baby steps. Probably start on the side, test whatever it is you want to test and see, is it working? Are you passionate about it? Is it going to solve a problem? Is there a need for whatever it is you want to step out into before you then make that big leap? Don't just jump into it with both feet until you've sort of tested it. If you want to jump in and maybe you have some extra income as support, then maybe you can do that, because you really need the finances. And it's not wise to go into it blindly, because it can get quite frustrating. Number one, be clear on why you're doing what it is that you're doing, because then you'll save a lot of time, you'll save a lot of resources, because you won't waste time doing things that are not in line with pushing you towards your why. Another thing I would say is perseverance is key. Nothing happens overnight. Many times you will see a product on stage or you will see the end result, but what you don't see is behind the scenes. The many hours of crying, of wanting to throw in the towel, suppliers who have let you down, things are not working. So perseverance ties hand in hand with your why. When you're absolutely clear about why you're doing what it is you're doing, then you'll be able to persevere when the challenges come. And the last thing I would say is integrity. Integrity is key. No shortcuts, be honest, deliver what it is that you've said you're going to deliver, because eventually it pays off. I remember when I started off, I have friends who would laugh at me and say, hey Wangari, you're crocheting like a shosho, an old shosho under a tree. And then I told them, when this crocheting takes me to New York and to London, we'll see who will be laughing then. And it's interesting how this journey began with such a simple product, as a simple crochet doll, and how this has evolved into children's playing cards, into content, into books, and hopefully even into an animation. So yeah, just put in the hard work, it eventually pays off.